Welcome to StaffBuffalo's Pain Points podcast, where we unravel the complexities of staffing, human resources, and other challenges faced by businesses today. Hi, welcome to the Pain Points podcast. I'm Lauren Lewis, and today I'm here with Massoma Alam Chohan, who is author of Take Your Lunch Break. Massoma, we're so happy to have you here with us today, and I appreciate the introduction from a mutual friend of ours who told me about you and your book, Take Your Lunch Break, which addresses stress in the workplace, which so many people deal with on a regular basis. And I think it takes a lot for people to kind of figure out that stress, how to manage it, how to navigate it. They are successful and they're and thriving, really, in their personal and professional lives. Yes. And I swear, once Sandra told me about Take Your Lunch Break, I was like, I think I've heard of that book before, too. So it was really exciting to kind of make the connection and then be able to grab a copy of your book. Get to discuss it with you today and the pain points around workplace stress, your story, and how we can navigate all of that together. Yes. So thank you for being here. Do you mind starting by telling your story and your background?
Sure. Thank you, Lauren, for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Yes, I had debilitating anxiety for about 9 years. I was on medication. I was in many different types of therapy. And basically, I was just looking for ways to feel better, looking ways to just stop suffering every single day. Yeah. And so I tried so many different modalities of therapy. I read so many self-help books, trying to find the answers. And
were you just so frustrated?
Yes.
Even more stressed?
Yeah, a lot. And it obviously spilled over into my work and my performance and my experience at my job. So obviously everything in life is connected. And when I finally found strategies that helped me and worked, I wanted to share that with the world. And so I went and did a TEDx talk about overcoming anxiety. It's called Go Spaghetti.
I love it. I watched it. It was such a fun TED talk. And you could see your personality in it.
Thank you.
It was a lot of fun. Definitely recommend that too.
Yeah, thank you. It's
the
on
TED Talk,
YouTube.
Go Spaghetti. Yep. It was very easy to find.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, so it's pretty easy. But that's only like 10 minutes. And I was like, I have so much more to say and more to share. And so I went on and to write a book, which took me about 4 years to write.
Wow.
And published in April 2022.
Congratulations.
And thank you so much. Thank you. And it's just been such an amazing journey to just share my message with the world, because I really felt very alone during that time and during my journey. And so I just want people to feel like they're not alone, and there are strategies and resources out there that can help you feel better and feel more like yourself.
So how did you get to the point of getting yourself to that point and having generalized anxiety disorder?
Yes.
How did you finally be like, aha, I've found the solution to this and I want to share it with everyone?
Yeah, so I feel like I had a few aha moments, and there's a quote is like, change can happen overnight, but it takes years to get there. So with generalized anxiety disorder, especially for me, it took about a year of practicing those skills and strategies, which I talk about in my book and my TEDx talk, which was mostly like the DARE method, which is really accepting the feelings, not fighting it, and just engaging with life and not being afraid of the anxiety. Anxiety is like the fear of feeling anxious or the fear of having those sensations. And so when you keep practicing, finally you get to a place where you feel those feelings, but it does not have the same effect that it used to, because you react differently. So you work on your reaction to it through whether that's exposure therapy. So say I had a fear of flying for a little bit. So the only way out is through. So the only way through that is I had to get on the plane. I had a fear of driving. So the only way through with the exposure therapy was like, okay, I drive 5 minutes, drive 10 minutes, drive 15 minutes.
Keep taking those little bit of increments in time to get back into it and get over your fear of it.
Yeah, so depending on the fear and whatever kind of anxiety you have, there's a lot of different strategies to work on that. So yeah, I had a few aha moments, and which I write about in my book, and few that took a lot of practice to get there, but it's so possible, and I'm living proof of that. I love flying. I don't know if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see I travel a lot. I just like love traveling. I drive everywhere. It doesn't bother me anymore.
That's
All these
awesome.
things that like were crippling for me before are just easy peasy
And
now.
at a point in your life, you probably weren't
Yeah,
afraid
no,
of those.
I
You got to
wasn't.
this point, like, where also
Yes.
you were fearing those things.
Yeah,
and
so I
then-
wasn't, had
yeah.
the fear, then I had to overcome that fear.
Yes.
And then now, thank God, I'm on the other side where it's like,
Which is amazing.
yeah,
How you feel like
thank
a whole new
you.
person, too.
Yeah, it really is.
And Massoma, so you have a master's degree in industrial
Yeah.
organizational psychology.
Yes.
I always want to say behavior, but I know it's psychology.
Yes.
Tell me how that kind of led you down your path as you were navigating your anxiety disorder
Yes.
and coming to write the book and the tips you bring into everyone else's lives through Take Your Lunch Break.
So all of my life, I wanted to be a doctor. I come from a family of doctors, and I was very passionate about it. I went to med school, and because of my anxiety, I had to drop out of medical school because I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. I just mentally was at a rock bottom. And
medical
yes,
school is so
it is already
stressful
very
as
stressful.
it is. Yeah.
And on top of that, it was just like not a good situation. My parents were like, listen, like, I know you want to do this, but your health comes first. And that took me a long time to realize that. And I think a lot of people who are in the workplace, they put themselves last and put either their work first or their family first, whoever. Everybody's before them. And which we probably will touch on later is burnout.
Yep.
And you just get to a point where you have no choice but to take care of yourself because you're put in that situation. So either you take care of yourself now or your body will make you take care of yourself usually at an inconvenient time.
Yes.
So
That always happens. It's like
Yes.
the worst time when that happens, when you can't handle it anymore. Your body just
can't.
physically cannot
Done.
handle it
Yep.
anymore. It shuts down.
It does.
And it makes you really step back. And then
Yes.
you're in sometimes a harder place to get out of
Exactly.
too by that point. So the more you
Exactly.
can identify some of those
Yes.
points earlier
Yes.
and start addressing it and taking care of yourself,
Yes.
it make a huge difference in your
Exactly.
life.
Preventative help, like preventative, try to do it before you get to that point is like so important. So yeah, then I ended up having to drop out of medical school, and because I have a lot of that high functioning anxiety, like 3 months later, I was in a master's program. So it was like boom, boom. Like I was just like, I have to do something.
You're like, switch
I
gears,
can't-
let's
yeah,
do it
let's
quick.
go,
Like,
come on.
Medical school's done.
Yes.
What's the next step?
Exactly.
What else can I do?
Exactly.
Yeah. What got you interested in industrial organizational psychology?
Yes. So I did my bachelor's in biology and psychology. So I did have 2 degrees, which was good. I've always been very interested in human behavior. And IO Psych is basically the study of human behavior in the workplace. And I just thought it was so interesting because it wasn't like clinical, which I'm like a very empathetic person. So medical school was also very difficult for me because I would feel all the patient's pain and then I would cry and I would be like, and I was just like,
You bring that home with you then too.
I
That's
do,
hard.
I do.
It takes a lot, I think, for medical professionals
Yes.
to compartmentalize.
yes, it's very difficult. And you need a little bit of that empathy for sure to be
Absolutely.
in medicine, but I think I was like too far on the other spectrum. I was like, and I still, even to this day, remember a lot of the patients and their just
wow.
issues.
Yeah.
So
Wonder how that person's doing.
I'm like, are they okay? If you're out, you know.
Yeah, I hope you're good.
So anyway, so I was always very interested in psychology, and I thought that was like the best shift for me. And so I went and I loved it. I really found it interesting. And that's kind of where this book came. It was like both my worlds of my personal story of anxiety and my education in IO Psych and the workplace kind of came together in this book.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Now, when we're talking about workplace stressors, like what are some common workplace stressors that people are navigating on a
Yes.
daily basis?
A lot of it is like heavy workloads, personal relationships at work with their boss or their colleagues, supervisors. It's role ambiguity where they don't know what is their role or their poor communication. So like those are, I think heavy workload is probably like number one.
Yeah, I can imagine. We take on a lot.
Yes.
Personally and
Yes.
professionally.
Yes.
So how do we balance? How do we manage? How do we make sure we're having time management,
Yes,
prioritizing
exactly.
different things to make sure everything is getting its proper attention
Yes.
and done the right way.
Yeah, exactly.
When we are talking about someone who's listening to the podcast and maybe they're feeling that they're in a tough place when it comes to work and they're feeling that stress, maybe they have the Sunday scaries
Yes.
coming up.
Yes.
If that was me, I'm very thankful. I've never had a day of Sunday scaries in my life.
Oh, good.
I've always
Yeah.
loved what I've done,
Yes.
and I never dread going to work.
Yes.
But I know there's so many people out there, by Sunday afternoon, they're like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, it's Sunday scaries.
Yes.
And they just dread Monday morning. And
Yes.
there's no way to live. So what are some ways that people can maybe identify what is triggering that and then how to overcome it?
Yeah. So Sunday scaries is like a lot of anticipatory anxiety. So you're worried about the demands of the week, to be able to meet those demands and the workflow that you're kind of anticipating what could be. So a lot of those moments, I say bring yourself back to the present moment, right here, right now. You can handle it. A lot of those positive affirmations and organizing tasks. Sometimes when we feel unprepared, that's when anxiety rises. If you can prepare for the week, or you just get yourself organized of what's going to happen, and just tell yourself, I can do this, I can handle this, I've done it before, I can do it again. So a lot of positive self-talk helps in that. And I really recommend at least one day a week, just like do nothing if you can. I know that's a luxury, especially with kids, it's hard, but if you can just chill at home or just rest. Rest, like give yourself permission to rest, which is not easy for a lot of us.
No, it's
because
very hard.
Even if you're resting, you feel guilty. Oh, I should be doing this. But your body is not a machine. You're not a robot. You need to rest. And I feel like you could kind of tackle the week if you have like one day to lazy Sundays. Do it. Like have a lazy Sunday.
I know my husband and I, like, we love lazy Sundays.
Yes.
It's hard in the summertime because
is.
there's just so much going on.
Or one activity a day.
I know.
That's it, yeah.
It's like he golfs, I walk in the mornings, and then I like grocery shop, and then prep food, and then we do go to the pool or go to dinner, whatever it might be. But during the winter and even spring, we work out in the morning, we do our grocery shopping, we prepare for the week, and then we just relax the rest of the day.
See, that's
make
perfect.
like a nice dinner.
So whatever it works for your family, but that sounds like a great idea, like great plan. And even if you can't do the whole day, 2 hours, 3 hours, 1 hour, just rest.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I know for me personally, especially pre-COVID, I felt like we were on a hamster wheel. Like, I didn't notice it until COVID hit and it forced us to stop.
So true.
And everything was going remote. So I wasn't going to the office. I wasn't running to meeting, from this meeting to that meeting, to this networking event in the evening, to that board meeting in the evening. It was just like, whoa, I'm home. What do? I remember pacing around my house a little bit. And then I swear that they would take an afternoon walk every day, like around 2 or 3. And it was my sanity, because I was not used to being home all day, every day. But then, as things started getting back to normal and we're back in the office, and I look at my work-life balance, I look at my calendar like each week to help me kind of stay present in what is going on and not overdoing it. Where at least I have one night a week home where I'm not running to a networking event or a board meeting or even dinner with friends. Like, I just want to be home. And it definitely makes a huge difference. But I think people have to be very attentive to that and really understand what they're doing and how they are maybe burning themselves out.
Exactly. Because I think a lot of us don't know how to rest and don't give ourselves permission to rest. So that's a skill in itself, to learn to rest and reframing that rest is productive. Rest is productive.
There are so many things I read now, even when it comes to whether it's work, whether it's your health, your diet. Like, rest is one of the most important things. We talk about cortisol levels too. If you're not getting proper rest, your cortisol levels are much higher.
And
then that affects every other aspect of your life. Probably triggers more stress and anxiety as well.
It all spills over. It's all connected. And it's very important to take that time.
Absolutely. Now, I know I kind of mentioned COVID briefly, and giving one of my examples. You started writing your book pre-COVID.
I did.
And then you finished it after COVID. How did that impact the content of what you were writing?
That's a great question, because I feel my book went through a lot of different phases in my personal life and also in the world. So I started the book when I was not pregnant. I had one pregnancy, then my first son came, then I got pregnant again with my other daughter, and then I had my baby, and then I published my book. So personally, I went through a lot. And so there's this thing, is like, creation creates. So after, it was so bizarre. After I would deliver, I would get a whole flood of new ideas and new thoughts, and I would go back and change everything. My book went through so many revisions, I can't even tell you. And like after my daughter, I literally was like almost half the whole book. I restructured the whole book. I changed everything. I delayed my publishing because of that. And with COVID, I had to add a chapter. I added a chapter in my book about the future of the workplace and I talked about COVID and how it changed the workplace, where we went from working in the office to the home and now hybrid, and what the future of the workplace looks like, and the new stressors that came with COVID, like working from home, where before you had like a separation of work and home, now you don't. Right. So that's a new stressor, is that people are actually working more than they were before because they're at home and they can work at 9 p.m., 10 p.m., whenever, emails, text. It's when do you unplug? And that's where the boundaries are very important, and setting up those timers and setting up those expectations with your supervisors. And so those are like all the new stressors that came with that.
Let's talk about some of those stressors, because I think there's a lot, and you've mentioned several of them. And we all learned really as we were moving through COVID of like what was happening and what was impacting people's lives and what was impacting an employee's life on the day-to-day basis, and how do they find a career that really works for them and their life. Because I think people's preferences really changed during COVID too. Some people found that they loved working from home.
Exactly, yes.
Some people absolutely hated it. I need to be in the office. And some people just want more flexibility. So how did you see that kind of impacting people you talked to as you were writing your book too, to kind of gather data and information?
I think that's exactly what you said. Most people prefer now working from home and the flexibility that comes with it. I think a lot of the extroverts want that human interaction, which they miss, but parents are really enjoying working from home and the flexibility, and people are traveling more or getting up and leaving. So there's obviously a lot of positives with that. I think I talk about in my book a career offer, which entails when you're looking at a job, right? What's the commute time? What's the boss like? What's the culture like at the workplace? What is their mission and their values, and does it align with you? So for some people, they're like, I don't mind driving an hour and a half, or I don't mind driving 30 minutes. And for some people, I want my work like 5 minutes away or at home. So it's a very personal decision, because for some people, it makes me anxious. I don't want to drive 30 minutes. And some people, I love to drive. I listen to podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. So it's really such a personal experience and our perspective, which is something I talk about in my book. Is like mindset is so important. When we were talking about Sunday Scaries, it's like really changing your mindset to I get to go to work, not I have to go to work. Like what a privilege it really is if you think about it, right?
Absolutely.
So you have a job, and I know it's stressful, it's hard. I understand that. But if you can sort of change your perspective and your mindset around it, it's such a blessing. Like I get to go, I get to. So changing from I have to I get to is
the get
really
to versus have to is such a huge difference in mindset. They talk about it when it comes to like exercising, fitness.
Oh yes, so true.
Anything that's really in your life. I'm like, I have to work out. I know. It's like, no, I get to work out. I'm physically able. I'm healthy, and I get to work out. This is a privilege.
Yeah,
getting to go to work is a privilege.
It is.
Like you challenge yourself, challenge your mind, challenge your brain. You learn, constantly learning, like from colleagues and the clients you work with, learning new technologies. We were talking about AI a little bit before we started recording this podcast, and it's a game changer. But
it really is.
If you're really not in a place where you can use that, you're going to be behind. too. So you really have to take advantage of learning new technologies in the workplace as well.
You have to always keep learning, for sure.
Keep challenging your brain.
Have that growth mindset, which is another thing I talk about is saying, I don't know how to use AI, but you say, I don't know how to use AI yet. So adding the word yet, having that growth mindset, we're always learning and evolving and healing, and we're always works in progress. And if you think you're done, then you're probably not. Then you probably have some more growing.
And I think some people get overwhelmed by that change or that growth, and that probably leads to some anxiety too. Like,
of course,
I'm not good at technology.
I know.
You make me learn another technology. Like, why do I have to do this? But you got to flip that frame of thought. To be like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
How can I learn more?
Exactly.
How can I utilize it to make me more productive, personally, professionally? Because it's going to transfer into all aspects of your life at some point.
It really will. Exactly. Yep.
And that brings another point too, when we talk again about COVID and AI. And before the podcast started, you said you were so glad you wrote your book before COVID. So
it's true. So nobody can be, I wrote your book. No, my book came out before ChatGPT and all those. So
it's really your true work all in this book. What has been your favorite part about writing Take Your Lunch Break?
I think the interviews. So I interview a lot of people for my book, high-performing professionals, mental health professionals, my dad. Chapter 5, I talk about my dad and his journey. And I think that's like one of my favorite chapters. So hearing people's stories and what they've learned. And I love research as well. So my book is very research heavy, as well as like personal stories. So it's just been a really beautiful learning experience, and almost like journaling, where it's just like, you know, what I went through, what I learned, and just hoping to share that message with the world. Yeah.
Tell us about your dad's story and how came into play with Take Your Lunch Break.
So my dad is an amazing, amazing man. He's like the life of the party. He's like got life figured out. He's just like enjoying life. And that's his thing, is just have fun. We're only here for such a short time. And so my dad's a doctor, and we're immigrants. So we immigrated when I was 10. I mean, we have a like kind of long story, but I was born in Pakistan. I lived in Iran. I lived in Ireland.
Oh, wow.
And I moved to America when I was 10. So we
covered some ground in your life. Your short life so far. You're so young.
Being like brown, like the story talks about how the FBI like showed up in our house, like after September 11th, and like how my dad had to navigate that, and like navigating our visa status, and being treated poorly in the workplace. His boss treated him really poorly, and honestly how he just came out on top, and more resilience, how we learned resilience from that. And it's just, and my mom is so amazing too. She's like the sweetest ever, and she stood by his side through the whole time, and she's so smart and such a healer, and she's they're just so amazing. They're really amazing people.
That's awesome. I can imagine, the resilience that has built through not just your father, but your whole family, and then your mom helping just keep the family together through everything, especially with young children.
Yeah, four kids.
Four kids, and being what is happening?
I know, in a new country, doesn't know the language, doesn't have no family, nobody. At that time, when we were in Ireland, she like didn't even know how to drive. She like learned how to drive. She learned everything in a new country. So they've been through a lot, and they've done so much for us, which I'm forever
They're probably
grateful.
So proud of you.
They are. They're so sweet.
Writing your book, it's amazing.
That's true. My dad was just telling me yesterday that in the beginning of the book, I was hospitalized. That was one of the best memories that I've ever had, is like when you got off the ventilator and they pulled that out, and you were smiling, sitting on the hospital bed, smiling, and that was one of the happiest moments in my life.
Oh my
and
gosh,
then
I bet.
I've seen on these podcasts and on TV, and wrote a book and all this, and I'm so proud of where you were, because they saw me rock bottom,
at your worst.
My worst, where I was just like, I can't do this. Like, how am I going to live every day like this?
Yeah,
I was so young, and I was like, at a point where I was like, I can't. And then I had to pick myself up. My parents were pivotal in that. They were so supportive and helped me through that. And also my husband, he was really amazing in my anxiety journey. And so he was just like, from where you were to where you are now. And that's what like my biggest message is to people who's suffering and struggling out there, is like, I promise you it does get better. I promise that you can overcome these struggles, whether it's depression or anxiety. Like, there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm living proof of that.
Absolutely. And you got to keep going.
Yes,
every
just
day's
keep
a new
going.
day.
Yes,
you just look up,
hang in there. Like, you can do this. Yeah.
And I've heard something recently about, and maybe I read it in your book too, but talking about the glimmers.
Yes, glimmers.
People talk about triggers, but it's the glimmers in your life. So when something is maybe giving you a hard time or causing stress or anxiety, let's find those little things that really can make a difference and make you happy.
Yes.
Kind of ease that stress.
Yes.
Give you something to look forward to. It really can change your whole outlook on your life overall, and get you to that next step, and get you through what you're struggling with.
Yes. Just day by day. If that's too much, take it hour by hour, take it minute by minute, second by second. Just break it down.
How about meal by meal?
Yeah, meal by meal, exactly.
With diet, I'm sure, plays a huge factor. We talked a little bit earlier about just the interconnectivity of your whole body. We're talking about rest, but also diet as well. I have not fully gone through Take Your Lunch Break in full transparency.
Yes, that's okay.
But do you talk about diet at all? And that can help you?
I do. So food is mood.
Food is mood.
Food is mood.
Yes.
So I do talk about diet and exercise. I think if people are like, where do I start? Well, like, I would say workout. Exercise, number one. Number one. Because your body will release those antidepressants, your natural antidepressants. But the problem is, like, our body, humans do not want to work out.
I know.
We do not. Evolutionarily, our body's like, why are you wasting energy when we need that energy to run away from a bear? So you're expending energy but there's no cause, like there's no threat. So you will never find motivation to work out. You will not. Because I was looking for motivation for so long. I was, I'm reading books about motivation. I'm reading articles about motivation, but I'm not actually getting myself to the gym. Yeah. And then I realized, oh my God, there is no motivation. You will not find it. Just go. You just have to go. You just have to do it. Just do it. And when you start doing it and build a routine. So I was like, this time of day, drop my kids to school, go to the gym. That's my routine.
Yeah.
So every day I do that, and that's built into my routine. Then it's consistency, and then it's part of your day, and then it becomes a habit. And you just go, and then you feel better, and your energy is better, and your mood is better, and you're like, oh my God, this actually works, and it really does.
It does.
Scientifically proven. So if you're, where do I start? I would say start working out, whether it's at home, put on a YouTube video, start dancing, some kind of movement.
I follow so many things about fitness and wellness and health and just even dance or just shaking your body, like just shake it all out, and that just helps kind of relieve a lot of the stress and make you just feel a little bit better, get those endorphins moving and flowing, and that does make a huge difference. Talking about that, take your, Go Spaghetti.
Go Spaghetti, yes.
What was the premise behind Go Spaghetti? Because I watched your TED Talk, Go Spaghetti, and I have a feeling it's a little bit about what we're talking about right now. With just like kind of letting loose and shaking out. Like, everybody go spaghetti, like just loose like spaghetti noodles, right?
That's it, you got it. So we don't notice how many times a day and that we're so tense. So like right now, like relax your forehead muscles. Unclench your jaw, drop your eyes, drop your shoulders. We're always like this.
Always. I was literally, so you said that.
Just let go. And so Go Spaghetti, letting go, becoming soft like noodles, like just loosey-goosey, and just letting that tension go while taking nice, slow, deep breaths and just relaxing. So that's where that Go Spaghetti. Because when the anxiety comes, we tense up, right? Like when we get anxious, we're trying to hold on, and so when we just let go, it sends a signal to our brain that, oh, I'm safe, I'm okay, I can handle this. And so you let that feeling, that sensation, when that sympathetic nervous system gets revved up, you just let those feelings go through you and accept and allow it instead of resisting it, because what we resist persists, right? So if you resist it, it'll keep pumping more. It'll keep pumping more adrenaline because, oh shoot, I am in danger. If you're like this, like on a plane, your body's, oh, I am in danger. I need to pump more adrenaline. But if you're, like you're chewing, you're eating, you're just drinking water, you're relaxing, then your brain's like, oh, okay, I'm okay. So that's a big thing that I talk about is your relationship with anxiety. We fear it, we think it's a horrible monster, but it's not. It's really, they're just trying to protect us.
Protecting you.
And it really has a good purpose and used appropriately.
Right.
Unfortunately, with anxiety, it's inappropriately fired. And so that's why you have to reassure yourself, thank you for trying to protect me, but I'm okay, I'm safe. I'm safe. And oh, that's so sweet. Thank you for trying to, you think I'm in danger, but I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm safe. And so like that reassurance. I start my TEDx talk like, I love anxiety.
Yeah.
So it's changing your relationship with anxiety and stress. Because there's good stress. It's called eustress, which is like motivation, right? I have a deadline tomorrow. I got to get to work. If we didn't have that, we'd be just, all right. We wouldn't get anything. We wouldn't get anything done. So if stress can be good too. But
it can be exciting. Exciting changes in your life.
Yes.
You're ready to have a baby, or you're ready to get married, and buy a house for the first time. Like there's so many different things that are like exciting, but they can cause a lot of stress and tension in your life because it's changing your whole lifestyle, but for good.
Yeah, exactly.
But it can be very stressful.
Yes. So just learning to cope with the stress that's causing you harm, but also accepting it and saying, oh, I'm going to use this stress as motivation, like changing your relationship with it.
Are there ways people can identify what eustress is, or the good stress versus the negative stress?
Yes. So if you see stress as something, it inhibits you, then it's probably bad. If you see like something as a challenge, so change it, like, oh, this is challenging. So I see something, but I'm using it as a challenge instead of, oh, why do I have to do this? Oh, this is kind of fun, it's challenging. So your relationship with it. So if you can't get anything done, so it's fight, flight, or freeze, you're not getting anything done, then it's probably you need to work on some coping strategies. But if you're, oh, I got this done, then it's probably a good stress.
And it's like acknowledging it too.
Yes, acknowledging, yes.
And acknowledging maybe when you get through a step of that.
Yes.
Like, okay,
check
off the list and move on. And it kind of changes your mindset around what else you have to go through next.
Yeah, exactly.
To get through that stress.
Yes.
Yeah, I think stress can be a good thing. It can be also a tough thing too for people to manage, especially in the workplace and everything that people deal with in the workplace, because it's sometimes you're bringing your personal life in the workplace. Maybe you're not, but your coworker is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that affects you too. You could feel it, their tension. You can feel their stress, and then it really can affect people. I know sometimes you talk about tense relationships, and someone is around a tense relationship, and they're like, oh, I can feel kind of knife through the tension in here.
Yeah, it's so true.
Because you just really exuberate your vibes and your energy.
It's a real thing.
It can make a huge difference.
Yes.
And someone else's life is not even affected by it.
Yeah, it's so true. Yep.
What are good ways in the workplace for coworkers to navigate this maybe stress of their other coworkers?
So I think when you were saying that, people bring their personal life, I think it's also remember that you're not a therapist, or if you are, you're not their therapist. Right. You don't need to solve their problems. And I think a lot of bosses and managers think they have to do that, but it's not your responsibility. I think your responsibility is to be a good human and support if needed, but you don't need to fix or solve their problems. And I think communication is very key. Yes. So having to just talk in a kind and gentle way to people, and also setting up your boundaries is very important, and just talk to people and in a way where if you're feeling something, they might be also. And so just talk to them about it.
Yeah, and get past, hopefully you can talk through things and get past it and move on and understand each other better. Yes. So you're better able to communicate with each other. And exactly. I think everyone has different communication styles.
Yes, direct or indirect. And I would also say, choose your battles. You don't need to fight over every little thing. Why didn't you hold the door open for me? Or you don't need to fight over everything. You gotta deal with some stuff yourself. Let it go. It's okay.
And I think give people the benefit personally too. Yeah, they didn't hold the door open for you. It was not against you.
Yes.
You don't know what someone else is going through.
I would say 90% of things are not personal.
Right.
Actually, most of it is not, or either they're projecting whatever they're going through onto you, or it's just their own personal issues they're going through and they're just taking out on you. And so it's usually not personal, and
And sometimes it's easier said than done for people.
Oh, for sure.
To understand how to maybe change their mindset.
Yes.
Change their frame of thought. Communicate.
Do you
have any tips on what people can do to help change those things in their life and maybe flip the switch for themselves?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is first not taking things personally, knowing that. So a lot of knowledge can help, giving people the benefit of the doubt. Hurt people. Yeah. I really feel like that. But healers also heal others, right? So good people spread light. And I think that if somebody is doing harmful, mean things, you can communicate to them, draw your boundaries, and also understand that they're probably struggling with some personal issues as well. I wouldn't say it gives people an excuse to treat others poorly, but I don't know, I've just said I just pray for them.
Yeah.
Or send them good vibes, because
good vibes.
But I would say that, definitely that's why I think the boundaries, that you can be kind and still have strong boundaries. And this is something personally I'm learning and dealing with, how to be kind and nice and still have boundaries. And you can do both. It's possible. Yeah.
One thing I've had to learn is say no.
Yes, learn to say no. Yes.
You want to say yes to everything. I know. You want to be that good friend. You want to be that good employee. You want to be that good boss. Yes. So you want to say yes. I can do that. I can do that. But sometimes you got to say no.
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. I don't have time for that right now. No, I can't do that. No, I don't want to go to dinner with you tonight. Because I need my night at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just planning those boundaries and saying no can make a huge difference on your stress and anxiety and just your overall well-being.
Yes, exactly. Sometimes I'm I'd love to, but I'm at capacity right now.
Yeah.
I'm at capacity right now. I wish I could help, but I'm at capacity. Just having a phrase even that you can repeat, learn to say no. And I think what happens with recovering people pleaser over here is that you realize, the world didn't explode. That person, maybe was a little upset, but they're fine. Like my relationship with them is fine. That they don't hate you, or they're not upset, or like maybe if they're a little upset, they get better.
Right.
They recover from it. It's not the end of the world. So I think as you learn to say no in a nice, kind way, or you realize that, oh, it's not the end of the world.
And just communicate. You mentioned it earlier. Communication is so key. We talk about this a lot with the clients we work with and the job seekers we work with, and just communicating things. Don't just, like for example, if we have a job seeker, a candidate we're working with that's going to a job interview, one of our clients, and maybe they change their mind about the job. And they just no-show the interview. When ghosting is a huge thing in the workplace right now.
Avoidant behavior,
Right, so they just, but it's like, well, if you just communicate and say, thank you, but I've received another job opportunity, or thank you, but I did some more research, I don't think it's the right fit for me, or thank you, I've had a family situation change and I can no longer make the interview. Just communicate that, and everyone's okay with it. So communicating things, whether it's in your professional life, your personal life, you don't need to do a whole long explanation and go into everything behind it. No, you don't. But just give some context and say thank you anyways.
Thank you anyway. Yeah. I think that people are avoiding the uncomfortable conversation, and they're avoiding the uncomfortable feelings. And because of that, they ghost, or they just don't say thank you.
Right.
But the exposure therapy, and just do it, and you'll realize like it's not the end of the world. It's okay. You got through it. Maybe you felt a little uncomfortable. Sit with that feeling. Accept and allow, and just keep moving. So,
and talk more again about the exposure therapy.
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with the driving and the plane. Is like the exposure therapy is like you just do increments by increments, so that you could sit with that uncomfortable feeling for a little bit longer. So when you get way too overwhelmed, you can distract or move. But learning to sit with that uncomfortable feeling for as long as you can to a point where then your brain gets used to it, because our brain is neuroplastic. Our brain can change.
Right.
And so when we keep training our brain, you can train it to not react the same way. So when you stop the reaction to that whatever stimuli it is, then you get used to it, and then you could sit with it longer and longer.
Which that helps you overcome so many things.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
life too. Like you said earlier with driving and flying on an airplane.
Flying or having difficult conversations.
Yes. Sometimes you just have to have the conversation.
Yeah. So you could start with something really easy or benign, like say your kid asks for like something and you say no, or when you go to the store and you ask for something. There's a book. It's about how to learn to get rejected. So you just go and ask for something ridiculous. You go to Target and like, can I have this for free? Like something ridiculous, and they're gonna say no, and so you're gonna feel a little uncomfortable. So you learn to feel uncomfortable and sit with it. Well, you know it's gonna be no. So it's like that exposure therapy.
One of my favorite quotes is, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
And that's where you grow.
That's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens.
You have to do, we all have to do it. And
yes.
Even, I am an introverted extrovert, I like to say.
Okay.
I love being around people.
Yes.
I love being social, but at the same time, I love being home by myself.
Yes.
And doing nothing. And not talking to anyone.
Good, yes.
So I've had to learn to say no.
Yes.
And then also if I'm in one of my phases where I'm like, I'm just done at the end of the day and I have to go to this networking event, but I drove down here, I parked, I already paid for the ticket.
Yeah.
Don't drive home now.
Yes.
Just go in.
Just go, right.
And even though I'm uncomfortable, I'm like, I always tell myself, be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes.
Go in, and it'll be fine.
Right.
And it'll be great.
And it usually is,
It usually is. It's usually a great time, make some good connections, have a nice night. And you can always bow out when you're ready to go.
Yeah,
you don't have to stay the whole time. You'll be the last person to leave.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, did my thing, time to go. So you can kind of find that balance in your life too.
Exactly.
Especially for the introverted extrovert over here.
Yeah, that's so true. That you can bow out whenever you feel,
So tell me more about Take Your Lunch Break. Where did the title come from?
So it came to me at like 4 a.m. where a lot of my random good ideas come.
Was it like you're up, couldn't sleep?
Yeah, just woke up, couldn't sleep, and obviously my mind's going, racing, thinking of all these ideas. And I couldn't think of a title for my book for the longest time. And I was like, so I at work wouldn't take my lunch break. I would eat my lunch at my desk in front of my laptop, and that was the work culture at my work. Everybody did that. Sometimes we would go out for lunch, but mostly you just eat in front of your desk while working. And I noticed that in my workplace, and I just felt like we didn't get a break in the day. And I was just getting so tired and burnt out that like my brain would just start like wandering.
Yes.
So your brain will do it itself. If you don't take a break, your brain will take a break.
Force you. Whether you know it or not.
You're like,
it's like
okay.
zoning out.
Yeah, zoning out. Getting tired,
what was
yawning.
I doing? Wait, why did I go to this switch
exactly.
tabs on here?
Exactly.
My laptop?
Yeah. Exactly. So I was just, I don't know, this seems unhealthy, you know, and the more I did research on it, there's actually studies that show that taking your lunch break increases productivity, increases job satisfaction, it lowers stress. And I was like, I can't believe there's actually studies on this. And so, yeah, take your lunch break came because of my personal experience of not taking my lunch break.
And I love it. I think it is so important. You touched on a couple things of getting a break. Step away from your computer and your phone when you're at work.
Yeah,
right?
phone
like,
too.
We're so tied to those things sometimes.
Yes, that's not a break. Like going on your phone, we think like scrolling, doom scrolling is break. It's actually not. Because you're getting a lot of stimulation. A break is like no stimulation, no screens, like kind of quiet, deep breathing, like even dim lights. But I mean, obviously at work you can't do that, but what you can do is close your eyes for a few seconds and take some deep breaths. And you could do that throughout the day, just for 10, 20 seconds or a minute if you can.
Right.
And those are little short breaks which lead to better productivity, really.
Productivity, creativity, think about things differently. Like sometimes if you get an email or a phone call that you maybe don't have the headspace for right now.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, oh, how do I deal with this? I don't want to respond. I don't want to respond like irrationally.
Yes.
So step away.
Yes, step away.
You go for a walk.
Walks are great.
And come back to it. And then maybe in a better mindset and mind frame to address it appropriately or in a better way.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's like you almost like type it even first. And then come back, step away, come back, and then retype it.
Give it a little space. That's so true.
Yeah.
So get that natural dopamine is really great, like taking walks, getting sunshine, reading, just things that are not screens. Because that's cheap dopamine. Screens or like chocolate, coffee, those are cheap dopamine.
I do love chocolate though.
I do too. I love chocolate so much. It's my favorite.
It's my favorite. We have maybe it's a break for everyone in our office too. We have these peanut butter cups that are so good and everyone's addicted to. And maybe almost unhealthy addicted.
You need a little pick-me-up in the day, which is fine. No judgment. No judgment. But it's so true. You need a little bit.
But I always found myself too, and I think we've tried to shift this culture in our office too, because a lot of times we were all eating in front of our computers. Now I make it a point, I'm like to step away, most days, away from my computer, upstairs to our lunchroom, and sit at the table and eat. Sometimes I'm on my phone on my computer, but sometimes, if
communication
other teammates are up there, we just talk.
Yes, connection is so key for humans. We are very social creatures. We need connection. And even though culture right now, especially I feel like in the US, is like, be independent, be by yourself. And we have these thoughts like, if I'm in danger, nobody's going to be there to help me. I got to do everything myself. I have to do everything myself. And I think we need to learn that we can be interdependent where, yes, I can do things myself, but if I need help, I can rely on you. And it's the truth, like humans are meant to be like that. We're meant to connect, and human love heals. Love really does heal, you know. So I think if you can't talk to people on your lunch break and talk about other things other than work would be great, you know.
Absolutely. And just get to know each other, everybody. Build different relationships too that way.
And your co-work relationship will increase too. Will get better, because I talk about in my book about co-worker relationships, and one of the bosses was like, I had my co-workers that didn't like each other like play Guitar Hero, and so it's like when they start playing that together, they were like, oh, we have a lot more in common than we thought. And so stepping outside like work as seeing each other as humans and not like, oh, my boss or my co-worker.
Right. I think that does make a big difference. And I think that's why you see a lot of offices. They go out and do things outside the office together as a team, and whether it's volunteering,
which is
for the day, or spending the day picking up garbage in the neighborhood your office is in, or planting gardens or trees, or doing a ropes course, or just for a happy hour, like a little party. We do bowling a lot for our team, and it's so fun, and you get to see each other outside of office, get to talk to each other in a different way, and put work aside for a little bit, and have some fun, and you do get to build different relationships that way, and get to know people on a different level. Which can go so far. Now, also in Take Your Lunch Break, do you have a favorite chapter?
I think I mentioned chapter 5 with my dad. Yes, that was my favorite. It's about resilience.
What other tips are your favorite in Take Your Lunch Break?
I think permission to rest. Give yourself permission to rest. change your relationship with anxiety, and that mindset and perspective are so important. And also that our brain is neuroplastic. Like we can change. I think a lot of times we have limiting beliefs that like we can't change. It's going to be like this forever. I'm going to struggle like this forever. We think it's always going to be the same, but it's not, and it can change, and our brains can change.
Yeah.
So I think that element of like hope and inspiring others is the main goal, and that you're not alone. That you're not
I think that all of that is so important because we are our worst enemies.
Yes,
a lot
we
of times.
are.
We are the ones. Your mind, your brain, your self-talk is telling you like sometimes just frustrating things. And you're like, and you have to like overcome it. And I think one of the words you said earlier was using the word yet. I haven't changed yet. Or I haven't done this yet.
Exactly.
Yet is such a hopeful, optimistic term, and it can really help change the mindset of your brain to get through maybe some difficulties or challenges you're having in your life.
Exactly.
I think that can make a huge difference. And then have to versus get to.
Yeah, those are key.
Such key
it really
terms
does.
and phrases for helping your mindset. And I know I'm going to go spaghetti a lot more because when we were talking about it earlier, I was like, oh, I can feel the tension in my neck.
The neck,
like,
your like jaw and forehead. I feel like those are always like tight. Taking deep breaths at the same time. Yeah.
And deep breaths.
Yes,
those
deep
are things,
breaths.
If I ever am having a sleepless night or just like some stress or my fear mind racing, I do like box breathing. Like
box breathing.
Hold for 4, 4 out. And it's been a game changer.
Exactly.
Next time,
you know.
Fall right asleep.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
I've always been a big proponent of health and wellness and personal development, professional development.
That's amazing.
And how they all come together. But as a human, I notice a lot of times for myself, the stress, the tension, those are the negative thoughts. As much as you try and always keep that good mindset, it can be hard.
Yes.
But staying diligent and remembering those tips and keys can be very helpful.
Yes.
To be like, okay, I'm finding myself going down this path of negativity or frustration or self-doubt. How do I get through it? And doing a lot of those things are sometimes very helpful for me.
I think a lot of the movement now is going towards acceptance. Like, we're always like, oh, I need to be a better version of myself. I need to do this. I need to. No, just accept yourself as you are right here. Self-love. Like, oh, I'll be better when I lose 10 pounds. No, you're amazing right now.
Yes.
And, oh, I'm stressed about this. Okay, listen to that emotion. That emotion wants to be heard. Acknowledge it. Say, I see you, I hear you, and I love you.
Yes.
So giving yourself that love and acceptance, your emotions space. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be stressed. It's okay. It's okay to feel. We are humans and we are meant to feel and be here and experience this world. We're not meant to be happy all the time.
No.
We're not. And that's the beauty of this life and this world, right? And this human experience is emotions. And I think when you learn that, oh, it's okay to feel other than happy, and give yourself that space for those emotions, you'll see that they kind of dissipate really easily.
Super easily.
It's like the weirdest conundrum, I feel like. You're trying to get rid of the anxiety, but the only way to get rid of it is to accept it and let it be there. And just let it be. And then it goes away so fast. The more you resist it, oh, I don't feel this, I don't want to feel this, I don't want to feel this, the more you're going to feel. Like, if I say, like, don't think of a pink elephant. Don't think of a pink elephant. What are you going to think about?
A pink elephant.
A pink elephant.
I think I just pictured an elephant with a pink blazer on, too. I was like...
Exactly. So that's just the way life is. And that's why language is so important. And how we talk to ourselves and the way we say things. So if we're like, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, don't be anxious, you're going to be anxious.
Yes.
If you're like, be calm, it's okay. You use the calming, like positive words, that's what you're going to feel and, you know, manifest. So you have to be very careful about words you're using and how you're talking to yourself.
Absolutely. Words are so powerful.
Very.
We've talked a lot about pain points that people face, you know, when it comes to anxiety, stress in the workplace. What were your biggest pain points when writing Take Your Lunch Break?
I think the revisions were so painful.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
did you do them, like all the revisions yourself?
I was in a program. It's a book program. They basically walk you through the whole thing. It's like being in school. So each week we had classes, learning the 7 plots, learning how to write a book, learning how we had editors. And so then I did hybrid publishing at the end. So I have a publisher, New Degree Press. And then after the book is published, I have all the rights to the book.
Cool.
So I have to market it, which is, marketing was a pain point for sure. Marketing is very difficult. Because it's awkward. It's like, hey, buy my book. And it's like a little awkward. But so yeah, marketing and revisions. Difficult.
I think it takes a lot to put pen to paper.
Yes.
That may be an old school term at this point, but
hit
the first key, write the first word to write a book.
For
so
sure.
I commend you for sharing your story too. Because that puts you probably in a very vulnerable spot.
It does. I'm very vulnerable in this book for sure. And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you wrote that. Like, I can't believe you're sharing that with the world. And that's like my message. And I feel like it's one of my purposes in life is to share. And that's why there's so many stories out there that are worth sharing. And that's why I really encourage anybody who wants to write a book to just do it, because your message needs to be heard. And you'll be surprised at how well received it is, because vulnerability builds connection. Absolutely. And when you open up yourself, it gives permission to others to open up. And so when I'm doing this, I give other people permission to also share and open up and feel less alone, because we keep a lot of our struggles internal and we deal with it ourselves. And, with suicide, like some people are like, I had no idea they were suffering.
Right.
And so if I can give somebody that space, I struggled, and if you're struggling too, like talk about it. Open it up. So
there's people that want to help you.
Yeah, there is people that want to help you, and there will be people that will be there for you. That you're not alone.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just sharing your story can help save someone, or help someone get through a tough time in their life, get through anxiety, get through depression.
Yes.
And
that made me so
they
happy.
retake your lunch break, they'll find other tips along the way about how they can help themselves get through it.
Yes. This is a book I wish I had at that time. It's filled with so many practical strategies, so many different strategies. So hopefully a few of them will work for you, because not everything will work for everybody, right? Like some people like cooking and they think it's a stress relief. Other people think cooking is stressful. So it's a very personal journey. So you just give and take. It's like a guide. So you can refer back to it, burnout chapter, coworker relationships, like whatever you're struggling with, you can always refer to it as well. So yes, I hope that it helps many people out there.
Yeah, I think it absolutely will.
Thank
and
you.
I know we're going to have it on our bookshelf in our office, where we share a lot of books, whether it's works regarding the workplace, professional development, or I even put some of my nonfiction books that I finished reading on that bookshelf. So in case anyone's looking for the next book, they have it there.
That's great.
It's a good little library we have going on.
That's
so we'll definitely share it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here, Massoma. We really appreciate it. I know I've been enjoying Take Your Lunch Break as I've been reading it. And I commend you and applaud you for sharing your story and doing the research.
Thank you.
And compiling it all into one book so that people can navigate anything that they're going through in the workplace or in their personal lives when it comes to stress and anxiety.
Thank you.
What is next for you?
So I am working on another book. The audience for this book was for employees who are feeling stressed. The next book would be for employers and bosses on how to create a less stressful workplace.
Awesome.
I am continuing to write, so I publish a lot of articles on my website around wellness and stress and relationships. So I post about one article a month, if not more. So I'm continuing to write on the topic. So yeah, you can catch those on my website.
And please share with everyone how they can find you, your website, your social media handles.
So my website is takeyourlunchbreak.com. And my Instagram is MASSOMAA. So you can connect with me and see my updates and things like that on the book. And yeah, my website, my book is available on Amazon and all other platforms where you can find books. And yeah, I would love to connect with everybody.
Yeah, it was super easy to order on Amazon. I think I got it on Prime and it was delivered in just a couple days.
Yeah.
So don't hold back. Definitely hit that buy now button.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you again so much, Massoma. We appreciate you being here with us on the Pain Points podcast.
Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode of the Pain Points podcast. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to follow us so you never miss out on future episodes.